In this lesson, we're going to cover weld preps. A weld prep is going to be placed before we place in a weld, and a weld preparation will help prepare the part to take the weld or create a stronger weld. The file that we're going to use for this lesson is called weldprep.iam. It can be found in your Chapter 11 exercise folder. These weld preps that we are going to place here will not affect the parent file. The weld prep will only exist in the welding assembly that they have been placed. To create a weld prep, simply double-click on Preparations in the browser. The panel will change to the Weldment Features panel. Here you're going to see a lot of tools that you're very familiar with. The most popular tool that is used for a weld prep is a chamfer. So that's what we're going to place in here. In this case, what I want to do, I want to chamfer the two edges of this green plate. And in this case, I'm going to change it to 3 millimeters. And just like we're placing a regular chamfer in the preview. And of course, we do have the other options for the chamfer. In this case, I'm just going to do the straight 45 degree. And if I spin that around, you'll see that the chamfer has been placed. Now, if I go ahead and open up that file, like I said, that preparation is only existing at that assembly. It doesn't exist at the part level. So even if I go ahead and save this file here, close out the part file, you can see that the weld prep is still here. It is only existing here at the assembly level. So if I expand the preparations folder, you'll see that it's showing me the chamfer 1. And in this case, it's also stating exactly what part that chamfer has been placed on. I want to go back and place in one more chamfer. And what I want to do in this case is I want to go back and chamfer the bottom edge of the tube, so it'll accept a fillet weld a little bit easier. And again, I'm just going to accept the 3 millimeter distance that we have for our chamfer. If I spin that around, you'll see that it had no problem placing in that chamfer. In the next lesson, we will go ahead and place in fillet welds on this assembly. In this lesson, we're going to cover how to place in fillet and groove welds. Groove welds sometimes are also called gap welds. The file that we're going to use for this lesson is called weld.iam. It can be found in your Chapter 11 exercise folder. To start off by placing in a weld bead, in this case it's going to be a physical weld where it will also have properties and it will appear in the graphics window as a physical weld. I'm going to go back and start off by making the weld environment active, so I'm going to double-click on welds in the browser. Then from the Weldment Features panel, I'm going to go on down and I'm going to start by placing in a fillet weld. So we'll start off with the weld tool. Then in the fillet weld dialog box, you see that it's broken into a couple different selections. So for the first face, in this case what I want to do is I want to place in a fillet weld right between the chamfer that we've placed in here. So I'm going to select the top face of the plate. And then for chain number 2, I'm going to go back and select that option. And then I'm going to select the weld prep that we placed in a previous lesson. And you'll see that I'm getting a preview. And what I really like to do is place in a 3 millimeter fillet weld. And you'll see that I'm getting the preview, so I know exactly what's going to be happening there. So if I would change that to a 6 millimeter fillet, you can see that it's going a little bit larger than what we did for the weld prep. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and click on Apply. Let's see what happens. And you can see that Inventor is airing out. It doesn't know how to go back and create that fillet weld. It doesn't know exactly where to terminate. So I'm going to go back and edit that. And for selection number 2, I'm going to pick on that option again. I'm also going to add the front face. So now Inventor will know exactly where to terminate that fillet. So as I spin it around, you can see it's exactly what I was looking for. Let's take a look at the back face here. So let's start up the fillet weld tool again. And for the first selection, I'm going to select the top face of the plate again. And for the second face, let's select the chamfer weld prep. And let's change it down to a 3 millimeter weld for leg number 1. And you see that we do have other options. We can go back and define leg number 2. You can also define a contour. So in this case, let's go back and do a convex. And then we can go back and determine how big that convex should be. Let's place it in at 0.05 millimeters. For the next section, we can also go back and determine the length. So let's place that in at 5 millimeters. We can also determine the pitch. So let's go back and place that in at 10 millimeters. So we can also determine down here, the bottom portion, how that length measurement is going to actually take place here. So you see our two different options. I'm just going to keep the default here. So let's go ahead and OK. And you see that our weld has been placed in. Now we can go back and edit these as needed. So by expanding the weld option in the beads folder, you'll see that each of these is appearing as their own feature. To edit them, I just simply right-click, feature. And then I can go back and make a change to that if needed. Let's go back and change that to 15. Click OK. And our spacing has been adjusted accordingly. Let's take a look at placing in a groove weld. So on the tube that we have here, we placed in our weld prep. So what I'd like to do is place in a weld bead that's going to go directly down. So just like we did with the fillet weld, for face number 1 I'm going to select the top plane of the plate. And then for face number 2, I'm going to select that chamfered prep that we have. Now for the groove weld, I'm going to select the fill direction, and this is going to tell the weld which direction to go down. So in this case, I'm just going to pick the cylindrical face, and that's going to give Inventor the direction to go. You can also have Inventor place in a weld symbol right in the graphics window if you would like. So you can go back and designate the information that you would like with that weld. So for our example here, I'm going to uncheck that, and I'm going to document this when we go back and create our drawing views of a welding. So now let's go ahead and click on OK. And you see that our groove weld is placed all the way around our cylinder. Now that that information has been filled in, if needed, you could also go back and place in a fillet weld. And in this case, I'm going to select again the top plane of that plate. And then for number 2, I can come back here and select our two faces here. And you'll notice I selected the face of the groove weld. So let's change the spacing here. I'm just going to remove that. And in this case, let's just take it back to a straight flat fillet. Go ahead and click OK. And our fillet has been placed accordingly. One last item that I want to show here with the fillet weld. And we'll start up with the fillet weld tool. So for face number 1, when I go back and select this face right here, you'll see that it's only selecting that top plane. If you check the chain option, it's going to take all of the tangent faces along with it. So let's spin the model around. You see that all of the faces have been selected for me. And then for number 2, I'm just going to select the front face of that plate. And let's change it to a 2 millimeter. Click OK. And the weld has been placed all the way around all of the tangent faces. After placing the welds, you may be interested to know how much weight was added by placing in those welds. So via the browser here, I'm going to right-click on the welds option, right-click, go ahead and select on properties, and then from the physical tab, again this is where we can go back and designate the material. So we did this in this case with steel mild. Click on update, and we can see how much mass we've added to our assembly. In this lesson, we're going to cover how to create machining operations in a weld bit. The file that we're going to use for this lesson is called machining.iam. It can be found in your Chapter 11 exercise folder. Machining operations are usually done after placing in the weld. So for example, we may want to place in a spot phase or remove some material from a given part. So we're going to start off by making the machining environment active. So I'm just going to double click on machining in the browser. And you'll see that our panel has changed here a little bit. Again, we have a lot of tools that we're used to. So I'm going to start off by actually making a plane deactive sketch, just like you would at the part environment. but you'll notice something that's very different here. None of the parts grayed out. And the reason that is that this feature is going to be at the assembly level. It will not affect the parent file itself. So what I'm going to start off by doing is just drawing in a line segment. And you'll notice as I go back and move my cursor over these points, it's not snapping to that. So I'm going to just hit the escape key. And from the panel down here, I'm going to scroll on down. And we're going to go back and we're going to select on Project Geometry. In this case, I'm going to select the 3 edges. And then I'm going to come back up and draw on a line segment. And we'll make it perpendicular. And make sure that it's coincident to those edges. Let's hit D on the keyboard. And let's dimension off that line segment. We'll place it in at 12. Turn. And then I'm just going to do an extrusion for that top face right there. And let's change the distance to 2. Spin the model around. As you can see, we're going to remove 2 millimeters worth of material. Go ahead and click OK. Spin that around. And let's place in one more. So I'm going to repeat that procedure. I'm going to make this top plane the active sketch. I'm going to draw in a circle. And let's switch our view, so we're going to look at it from the plan view. So again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to use the Project Geometry tool. I'm going to project that top edge. And then let's go back and place in a couple of constraints. So I'll apply a vertical constraint to the center of the circle, to the midpoint of that line. Then I'm just going to hit D on the keyboard, and let's dimension it off to the center point. Again, I'll place it in at 12. Let's give it a diameter of 20. Then what we'll do is click Return. Click on the Extrude tool. Again, I want to remove material. So you notice when I'm doing the extrude here, with the machining operation, all I can do is remove material. I can only do a cut, cannot add material or do an intersect. Very similar to what we were able to do with the preparation. So let's change the depth to 1. Go ahead, click OK. And our machining operations have been created. Now let's just verify that the feature that we created does not affect the parent part. I'm going to open up these files. As I spin it around, you'll see that the feature does not exist there. So let's go ahead and open up the green plate as well. And as you see, as I spin it around, the cut that we placed at the assembly environment does not exist. And the reason it doesn't exist at the part level, it only exists here at this specific assembly. So any other assembly that this file would be used, these machining operations will not exist. Just going to click Return, get out of the machining environment. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to document a weldment. The file that we're going to start off with is called documentweldment.iam. It can be found in your Chapter 11 exercise folder. In a previous lesson, we learned how to place in a weld by making the weld active. And in that previous lesson, you learned when placing in a fillet weld, you could also create a welding symbol. The welding symbol can also be used when we create our drawings. So in this case, we didn't do that when I went back and created these welds, but it's not too late. So in this case, what I can do, I can go down and select on the welding symbol tool. I'm just going to move the dialog box out of the way here. And I'm going to select on one of my fillet welds. And then from the drop-down list here, instead of typing in this information manually, I'm going to have it pull it from that specific fillet weld. And if I move the dialog box over, you'll see I now have the symbol for that. And I'm going to spin the graphics screen around here a little bit. And let's do the same thing for this weld right here. Pull it from fillet weld 2. And for now, just go ahead and click OK. And you'll see that we have the information is being displayed in the graphics window. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create drawing views from this weldment. And we will pull these weld symbols into our documentation. So next, let's click Return, exit out of the weld environment. And then I'm going to start up a new drawing file. let's go ahead and place in our base view. So I'm going to go ahead and place in my base view, just like you would any other assembly file. So from my list here, I already have my weldment assembly. I can go back and select the view that I want. I'm going to turn on my style. But with the weldment, we have a couple different things we can do. From the Model State tab, I have 4 different ways of showing this assembly. And we're going to create views based on all 4 of these so we can see the difference. So I'm going to go back and label these. So we'll call this first one Assembly. And I'm just going to pick a point to place that view. And let's move that view up a little bit. And I'm going to repeat that procedure for each of these model states. So for the next one, let's go back and do our preparation in the way that we would have what actually created each of these states. So from the preparation, you see from the drop-down list, you can go back and you can document not only the assembly, but you could also select the individual part. So what we'll do here is we'll select the assembly file, and we'll do the exact same thing. I'm going to select the bottom view, turn the hidden lines on, and let's label this one Prep. And I'll place the view in, move the view up, and again let's repeat the procedure. So this next one, let's go back and do it as a weld, because that would be the third one that we would do. Bottom view, hidden lines, we'll label this welds, we'll place the view, and one more time. This last one, we'll go back and we'll place this in as machining. So bottom view, hidden lines. So machining, and we'll turn the label on. And let's go ahead and place that view. So as we examine these views, you can see exactly the state that our assembly file was in. So we have the basic assembly, then we did our weld preps with the chamfers. Then we went back and placed in the welds, and then you'll notice we now have our machining operation where I went into the spot face and we cut some material away from that top corner there. I'm going to turn my attention now to the weld view. So next what I want to do is I want to pull some of that information about the welds into this view. So I'm going to right click in that view, and then go back down under Get Model Annotations, and let's select Get Model Symbols. The symbols that we just created are now brought forward, very much like retrieving dimensions. So let's do one more. Right click in the view, Get Model Annotations, Get Weld Annotations in this case. As you can see now, the welds have been filled in. So we can go back and you can modify where the weld symbols are being placed like you would any other annotation. You can also go back and add more information about the welds. If you switch to the annotation panel, and we'll slide on down, you'll see that we have the welding symbol. So what you can do is select the area that you want to place in that symbol, right click continue, and then in the dialog box go back and place in information that you would like, in this case 2, and our symbol has been placed.